That's the supporters of channel member Kieran Hodgkinson. Just don't get your hopes up. I don't know how long we can maintain it for. Yes, we're third in the Premier League now. Yes, the January transfers were great. But we've bottled stuff before. Let's just do the party line, aim for mid-table. Anything more than that is a bonus. That way no one can call it a bottle job. Exactly. And welcome to part 138 of Homegrown. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have two games for you in the Premier League. We're at home against Tottenham and we're away against Tottenham and at home against Aston Villa. Since you were last with me, we have continued our excellent form throughout January, and it was almost all playing the 4-2-4 that we kind of stumbled back into in the last episode, winning every game apart from the one game we strayed from the 4-2-4. We were away against Manchester City. We went back to the 4-2-3-1 for that game, and we were 2-0 down relatively early on, if I recall. Let me just double check. 2-1 down at half time. We switched to the 4-2-4. I think Oliveira came off, Perez went alongside McKenna in midfield, and we brought Juan Jose on to play alongside Veloso, and then Villalobos, I think, came on for Veloso. And we ended up pushing them close, finishing 3-2. Further evidence that the 4-2-4 is the way to go. And we've used it ever since again and continued winning. And those of you who are looking for our latest Brazilians will be excited to see that Ian and Sydney both grabbed goals against West Brom as well. They've not been forgotten about. They're just, I'm struggling to find a space for them at the moment. They're still young and we've got a lot of very good players in the team. But this is what the league table looks like after such an awesome January. We're up in third place in the league, 6 points clear of fifth place Arsenal, which is significant. Now we're beyond the halfway point of the season. It's February. Most of these clubs around us are going to be heading back into Europe this month. And we've just got a clear run at the Premier League for the rest of the season. And the FA Cup, which we're still in as well. We're obviously not even thinking about trying to win the Premier League. The two Manchester clubs have both got games in hand and lots of points over us. But I think Champions League is doable as long as the wheels don't fall off. And we had the January transfer window as well. We brought in the two players that we said we were going to bring in. Emil Christensen actually arrived injured, so he's only made one league appearance from the substitute bench so far. But David McKenna is exactly what we needed. He's played 4 games for us now, and he's just a tough tackling midfielder, and it's a very handy thing to have knocking around the squad. The other transfers, there was quite the clear out that went on in January. You already knew Jörn Andersen and Kieran Hodgkinson were going to be leaving the club, but we also sold Rolando Passotti. He's gone to Celtic for 5.75 million. No point keeping him around. Now we've got Christensen and McKenna in. Kenlin Richardson and AD Lillis have both left, and Wojtek Fulnek. All three of them have left the clubs on loans with future fees attached to them. Fulnek's gone to Riem in France. No one knows. Passotti's gone to Celtic and Lillis has gone to Chievo. All of them have got future fees built in. Tristan McDonald's also gone out on loan again, this time to Alaves. He's 25 years old, our third choice goalkeeper. But he won the SPL with Rangers last season, so he's won something. He's won a major league before any of the rest of us at the club have. So, yeah, that makes me feel real good. So, let's go play Tottenham, shall we? Continuing with the 4-2-4. And we're not actually playing McKenna because when we're, more often than not, we're playing Oliveira and Perez. I don't know where we fit McKenna into the 4-2-4. I think if we do the 4-2-3-1, Perez moves forward and we play McKenna alongside Oliveira, and it makes a little bit more sense. But McKenna's got to force his way into this system. Perez is our best player and Oliveira is our captain. So, yeah, that's the one downside. But this is the team we've been using pretty much throughout that consecutive winning run. It is Juan Jose who's found a partnership with Veloso rather than Villalobos. Villalobos had that excellent last episode and hasn't done anything since. He's not had much opportunity, to be fair to him, but Jose and Jordi really are starting to put in some good performances. Although Jordi you wouldn't believe it looking at. I mean, I see him play well. I see him be involved in everything, and then I look at his average rating and realise why he gets so much stick in the chat, in the comments. But I promise you, if you just sit and watch him for 6 matches in a row, the way I do, He looks really good. It really is. Maybe Ian will be in sooner rather than later. So the team for the Tottenham game: Perez in goal, a back four of Kovacic, Elias, Erkan and Thomas. Perez and Oliveira in midfield, Jordi and Park out wide, and then Jose and Veloso as the strikers. I haven't looked where Tottenham are in the league, presumably just a little bit below us, but probably looking at this fixture as an opportunity to start closing the gap and forcing their way back up into the Champions League picture. That just feels very Tottenham-y. Oh, look, it's exactly where Tottenham are. Who knew? Nothing has changed 17 years in the future. Perez with an early corner, 7 minutes on the clock, looking for Elias, but he can't find him, and Jordi is there to turn it back into Perez, who's going to have another go at picking a pass. If he can beat his man, he can. His origins as a winger showing there. Beats his man. Lovely cross. And Park is there for his 11th goal of the season. Sometimes I look at Park. He's 6'1", 6'2". He's so dominant in the air. And these are very similar to the thoughts I was having with Mita Cernajaki in last season's Born Save, which, if you haven't watched last season's Born Save, you are missing out on some of the finest players we've ever had on the channel. But Mita Cernajaki was a superstar for us for like the last 7 or 8 years of the save. Ended up becoming a real global superstar on the right wing. Slightly different player to Park in that he was a left footer who played on the right and played as an inside forward. But similarly to Park, he was really dominant in the air, cutting in off that right-hand side. And I looked at him a lot and thought, I wonder if you could do a Cristiano Ronaldo and become a striker. And I look at Park and I think the same thing. He's so good in the air. He's such a good finisher. He'd make a very good striker, I imagine. But then we'd miss him doing this, running deep from midfield, beating his man, playing Veloso in, and Veloso also makes a pretty good striker. That's his 18th goal of the season for a man we signed aged 16. We arranged the signing of Sandro Veloso from Sporting. He couldn't join us for 18 months, to the point that when he arrived, I'd forgotten who he was and hadn't scouted him for a year and a half, and had no idea what was coming in. Was a little bit frustrated we'd wasted a foreign signing on this kid that I didn't have a recent scout report on. Cost us less than 2.5 million, and he's the striker we always dreamed of. That's it. Like I say, his 18th goal of the season. We're only just halfway through. Veloso's a superstar. He's not yet made his first appearance for Portugal, but I think he's still only 20 years old. His time will come. Last time I checked, he had more goals than appearances for the Portuguese under-21s. It was something like 24 goals in 19 appearances or something absurd for the Portuguese under-21s. How he's not had a call up to the full squad, I don't really know. They must have a lot of very good strikers because he's banging the goals in both in the Premier League and in their own under-21s. But he's still young. He's got time. Veloso is another one who's going to go on and become a world superstar. That's some decent football by Spurs. Once again, Perez just having a little look around. I hear you, comment section. I know Alex Williams is a better goalkeeper than Perez, but I'm trying to learn from the mistakes you all tell me I made years ago with Jack Green. I think the situation is a little bit different now because we're not relegation threatened, so we can afford to is experiment the right word? We can afford to go with the one with potential in the hope he becomes even better. We know what we've got with Alex Williams. He's already 29 years old. He'll be a 3-star goalkeeper for the next 8 seasons, and he'll be fine. He's good enough for a mid-table Premier League team, like he always was. It's similar to what we had with Jack Green. Perez is a championship goalkeeper at the moment with the potential to be one of the best goalkeepers in the world. We just have to see if he fulfills the potential or not. This is going to be his second season as our first choice goalkeeper. I don't know. At what point do we decide he's not fulfilling the potential and go back to the guy who's better and wait for a better youngster to come along? Because after 2 years, I'd like to think he'd already be better than what we already have. I was about to use Erkan as an example. Now it's probably not the right time when he's just given the ball away. But both Elias and Erkan, who've combined to give this penalty away beautifully, but they've been in the team far less time than Perez has, and both of them are now better than the players who were in their position before. It was Fazekas and Anderson a year and a half ago. Now Fazekas sits on the bench and Anderson's been sold because we don't need him, because Erkan and Elias have moved on so quickly. Veloso is the same age as Perez and is our first choice striker deservedly, keeping Villalobos, last season's top scorer Francisco, keeping these players out of the team. And we're not seeing that kind of progression from Perez in goal. So sooner or later, Surely we have to decide he's not going to fulfill that potential and go back to Williams. I just don't know when that point is. Do goalkeepers develop slower? I assume they probably do. Have we started the process too young with him? If that's the case, when you were all right in green off at 22, that suggests we didn't start the process too young. It's complicated. But Perez, I think, turns 21 this summer. If he's still not as good as Williams when he's 21, I think we bring Alex Williams back in the team. Probably for the rest of the save at that point, because there's not really another obvious goalkeeper on his way through, unless we bring in another 18-year-old and throw him in the team for 2 years. But by that point, we'll kind of be in the situation we were with Jack Green again, where we'll be a Champions League club then and trying to compete at that level. So we can't afford to experiment. We by the time we hit the Champions League, we basically need to have decided who our forever keeper is. I don't know if it's Perez. He's on a 7.3 today, even though he's conceded 2 goals. I mean, Tottenham have played very well. Tottenham actually deserve to be ahead in this game. So I guess you could argue that Perez is the reason we're not losing. Our left side has been very poor today. We're going to bring Ian on the left. The eruption of cheers from the comments that Ian's coming on for Yordi on that left-hand side. We're also bringing Fazekas on at left back for Kovacic, who's had a really poor game. Interestingly, Spurs have changed their right winger, despite our left-hand side really struggling all game long. Perez plays it out to Todd Thomas on this right-hand side, and Thomas has got loads of space to run into. This is the attacking awesomeness that Todd Thomas gives us. He just doesn't offer much defensively. We talked about him a lot yesterday. Driving forward from right back, he's great, and Perez has done very well there. And now Park trying to get something moving on the right-hand side, but Spurs are in with the tackle again. And I wonder if today's the kind of game where if we'd have had McKenna on in the midfield, does he stop Tottenham forcing their way back into the game the way they have? When we go 2-0 up, should we be locking it down with McKenna and you know, not letting them back in? Who knows? See, Thomas has had a bad game as well, apparently. But rather than bringing Peresato on, we're going to try and go for the win. We're going to bring Villalobos on, play alongside Veloso, and we're going to offer a little bit of encouragement to the boys, and we're going for the win because we want to be a Champions League club. We don't want to come here and draw, even though every sensible part of every human in the world would be saying, Kev, a draw here is fine. Secure your defence. Maybe get McKenna on. But no, that's an excellent save from Perez. He's redeeming himself. He's heard us talking about him. What a save from Perez. Up to a 7.7 now. And we're on the attack. 5 minutes to go. We've got a throw through Fazekas. I don't know if I've ever seen this man take a throw in before. There's Ian playing it back to Perez, who's in acres of space. Gives it to Oliveira. Villalobos has scored. He only turns up for you lot. Villalobos likes clubbing and showing off when you're here. That's it. That's all you get from this man. And that might be enough to turn him from villain to cult hero of the series. Because every time in recording a video, he does something like that. Villalobos might have just won us the game. And we absolutely don't deserve it. Look at the state of those match stats. The XG, Spurs are on 3.5. We're on 1.16. We have ridden our luck today. We have obviously had a very good performance from Perez in goal, even though I've been critical of him. And Villalobos, once again, comes off the bench and makes himself a hero. I don't understand Football Manager anymore. No changes for the Villa game then. I'm tempted with Ian for Yordi. I'm tempted with McKenna for Perez or Oliveira. I'm not really sure where you bring McKenna in, because they're both so important, but we need the different kind of player in there. I'm very tempted for Villalobos for Jose because of you lot being here, but I think Jose really links everything together up there for us. So he's my Bergkamp to Veloso's Henry in my mind long term. Right, let's just keep doing what we're doing. Villa are mid-table, so we're at home against a mid-table side in the form of our lives. As you can see, as of right now, we're up to second place in the Premier League. Man City would still have a game in hand behind us, so it would only be a temporary jump up to second if we're able to make it. But the form we're in, who knows what we can achieve. And talking of form, Park is in incredible form. He's being linked with Paris Saint-Germain and Manchester United. He's got 3 years left on his contract. He's got no interest in discussing a new one. I had to promise him in January that we'd qualify for the Champions League this season, and he agreed to wait and see to the summer because Paris Saint-Germain came in with like a £35 million offer, which is obviously pathetic. But he said, yeah, fine. If we qualify for the Champions League this year, I'll stay. It'll be interesting to see if he's a man of his word if we do get there. But he is certainly leading the charge towards Champions League qualification. And if we can keep him around, it will be the first time, really, we've kept a player who's probably too good for us. We couldn't do it with Gregoire. We couldn't do it with Abagai. But if we can do it with Park, I think that, I know I've mentioned this a couple of times before, that we're reaching the end game. But I think the first time we can keep an elite player, because he is showing now as an elite winger rather than a wonder kid, rather than world class. He is elite winger at 22 years old. We can start keeping elite players at the club. We've got to be close. We've got to be close to winning some things. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting excited. I love this stage of a save. But we've been plugging away at it for so long. This has been my daily life for 7 months, 8 months at this point. Oh, it's exciting. Veloso from the penalty spot, and he scores 2-0 to us. 24 minutes on the clock. Goal 19 of the season for Sandro Veloso. And we can engage cruise control now, hopefully. Although we were 2-0 up against Spurs and ended up making things a lot more difficult for ourselves than they needed to be. But fingers crossed we're not going to see a repeat of that today. And I'm still not looking up, really, in that Premier League. I'm looking back at 5th place, constantly checking back at 5th place, seeing what kind of gap we've got to secure this Champions League qualification. Another very good save from Perez. Is today the start of wonderful things for Perez in goal for us, because he has made several very good saves today. Maybe he's preparing for life in the Champions League. Juan Jose now on the left-hand side receives the ball from Jordi. He's got options inside of him. He decides to cut inside and shoot himself, and it's straight into the hands of the Villa goalkeeper. There were definitely better options for him there. But the gap between us and Arsenal, who are the leaders of the chasing pack, it's now nine points with them with a game in hand. Was it 9 points? I need to look at it again. I can't decide which way around the threes and the twos were. It could have been 9 or 12. I need another look. No, it could have been 9 or 11. Definitely couldn't have been 12. Perez plays it out to Kovacic, who's got a chance for a cross here, but cuts it back to Oliveira, who's attracting interest from Chelsea. But we're discussing a new contract with him currently as he continues to blossom in that box-to-box midfielder role. And that's a decent effort from Todd Thomas. And it just whistles past that post. So, no, still don't get to have a look. Thomas with the throw. It's evaded everybody. Have we got a penalty here? What's gone on here? The ref's going over to his little telly. I think Park's been shoved in the back there as he's gone up for this header. It definitely looked like a foul. The question is, was it inside the penalty area or not? The ref is checking. I should be standing over him saying, come on, ref, that's inside the area. And we have a penalty. Our second one of the game. Veloso's going to step up again to try and grab his 20th goal of the season now. It's still only February. Have we finally got a 30-goal-a-season striker? He's taken another step closer towards it today. 3-0, 20 for the season for Veloso. And we've gone, in the space of 3 or 4 episodes, from the desperation of Everton. Was it Everton we faced on the last day of the season and we conceded 7? We've gone from that to this without massively changing the personnel. I mean, if we look at the players... who started today, every single one of them was at the club for that Everton game. Now, it probably wasn't this 11 who played, and they probably didn't play in this combination, but shows how much they've developed. We've as a club done a Mick Powell, which is beautiful. Beautiful to see. Right. Are we ever going to get a chance to have a look at this league table? So Arsenal on 43 points. We're on 52. So it's a 9-point lead. They've also got a game in hand. We are absolutely all over them for goal difference. So we've got the second best goal difference in the league on 26. Arsenal's is only 2. So it's almost as good as a 10-point lead over them with, 12 games? They've got 13 games to go. It's looking good. It's looking really good for us. Fazekas is going to come on to play left back again. Actually, he's not. We're going to put Peresato out at left back. We're going to take Erkan off as well and put Peresato out there. I've stopped using the inverted wing backs, even though everyone who plays there, apart from Kovacic, is right-footed. Because Jordi cuts inside, I just want the wing back to stay wider. I'm going to take Jose off again. We're going to bring Villalobos on again. Ian and McKenna are both looking at me as if, come on, what have I got to do? Well, it's not about what you two boys have got to do. Look at the players playing in the positions you could come on today. Jordi, Park, Oliveira, Perez, Veloso, they're all playing very well. And the first one to come on had to be Villalobos based on what he did in the last game. We didn't need to change any other attacking players. So those two sit and wait for a little bit longer. They're still young. They're all right. They can be patient. Perisato with the header towards Jordi. Jordi turns. Lovely pass from Jordi into Veloso. That's what I'm seeing from Jordi. That creativity that doesn't always come off. I mean, he's not got any score for that, even though it's a beautiful pass. But I just think Jordi is a different kind of player to anyone else that we've got. And he can play that killer pass. He's not going to go and beat 5 men and stick it in the top corner. But he might just do an absolute piece of genius and unlock a defence for us. I just like having the one man in that can do that for us, which is why Jordi keeps getting the starts for me. But we've picked up another win. This is what the league table looks like. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. Veloso's third for the Golden Boot. Perez is third for the top player in the Premier League. Todd Thomas is joint second for assists from right back. And we're second in the Premier League. It's finally starting to come together. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.